We are going to start with Wayne. Just to give you a little bit of background on Wayne, he is the founder of Power Formula, again, which is an international consulting company on LinkedIn. He is also the best-selling author of all time on LinkedIn. So without further ado, Wayne, tell us a little bit about yourself. I'm going to actually bounce out of this, and then let's roll.
Okay. Hey, Mr. Dave, always good to see you, my friend. Thank you for this invite. It's great to jump into your massive audience and help you at LinkedIn. So the quick version of who I am is I wrote a LinkedIn book in 2011, back when LinkedIn was just a little something, right, that everybody was trying to figure out what it was all about. And the book has gone on to sell, and this is what I do full time now. So at the time, I owned an office furniture dealership, and I was trying to grow that business coming out of the recession, and was using LinkedIn as a tool. And then I figured out a few things on LinkedIn and started teaching people all over the world about how to use LinkedIn when there weren't many teachers. And my wife and I wrote the book, and the next thing you know, I'm doing this full time. So blessed to have been able to find something as cool as LinkedIn that had some staying power, right? That we could stick with and make a career out of it. So what I've got for you today is 5 tips, 5 excellent secrets is what I call them, because there are a lot of secrets on LinkedIn. And I think people will agree with that LinkedIn is not good at telling us what's going on and what's new. And I help business folks and entrepreneurs all the time figure out the secrets of LinkedIn and how to, really make something happen with it, not just have a profile. It's so funny because when I talk to people, I say, so you're on LinkedIn? Oh yeah, I got one. And I go, what do you mean you got one? Well, I got a LinkedIn. So is that good? I said, well, it's only good if it's helping you. So the 5 things I want to show you today are sort of some of the newest things going on, or maybe some of the things you've never found. And I'm going to go into some things on your profile and some things on your company page, but also some LinkedIn activities. And so the first 2 tips I have for you is on your company, on your personal profile. So your personal profile has a couple of fairly new features that I think just rock when it comes to entrepreneurs. And one of them is sort of neat because it's this little pronunciation icon here. And when you push that button, a message comes up, it's a 10-second message. You can deliver a 10-second voice message to your audience. How cool is that to be able to, and it's called the pronunciation icon because it was meant by LinkedIn for tough sounding pronouncing names like Wayne Breitbarth, right? But you can add more because it's 10 seconds. So take advantage of having your own little audio pitch that sits right on your profile. Now, if you don't see that icon on your profile when you're on your desktop, then you got to grab your phone. Grab your phone, download the most recent LinkedIn mobile app version, and it'll show up on your phone. You can add it to your profile on your phone, and then it will carry over to your desktop. It's weird, but that's just how some things work on LinkedIn. So that's tip number 1. Use that 10-second pronunciation to sort of tell the world what you do and how you can help them. Item number 2, this is a real winner too, and this has been around since February. This is called the featured section. How cool is it that LinkedIn finally gave us this big spot on our profile that just jumps at you, right, with a nice big visual? And it's called featured, which is people would expect important things to be in your featured. It allows you to put any links to your website or uploaded files. And I call it a carousel of your very best stuff, right? So you can load in unlimited numbers of things in there. You can rearrange these items. So it can be a post on LinkedIn. It can be an article on LinkedIn. It can be a link to a web page that you have, like a call to action, like this one. This is for downloading my ebook. Or it can be an uploaded file, audio file, video file, PDF, JPEG, pictures of stuff that you do if you're a photographer or an architect. Cool, really cool. Now, if you don't see that on your profile, you come get that by going to add profile section, featured. And the 4 items will show up here, and you can add them and you can rearrange them, because what they'll do is when new ones come in, it'll push the other ones sort of underneath. And you always want to make sure you got your best 2 things sitting up front and center. I have had so many people click on and download this ebook because I've been able to now make this ebook landing page available right here in prime spot on my LinkedIn profile. So those are the 2 profile tips. Be sure to take advantage of those. And I don't know if you run into those yet, Dave?
I have not. In fact, so this is really education. I'm sitting back here and soaking all this up. So this is great. So
Yeah.
no, I'm not familiar. So
okay. You got them now, my friend. Okay, next 2 items. They relate to your LinkedIn activities. And the first one is, it relates to referrals. Okay. It's interesting how many consultations I do, and I do lots of consultations with both companies and individuals. And when I say, how do you get your new clients? And many times it'll be, oh, word of mouth, referrals. Referrals are always good for me. I said, cool. Have you used what I think is the best referral tool on LinkedIn, the filter called Connections Of? And wait, what are you talking about? Connections Of, what is that? Well, there's a special filter that sits on LinkedIn waiting for you to dive into an individual's network. And it's as simple as this. So I'm going to show you how to do it right from scratch. So if I go to this, I'm going to go right from this page because we don't need this page anymore in my profile. So if you go click on the magnifying glass, put your cursor in the search box, click the magnifying glass, and then you come over here to all filters. And this is free, by the way. Nothing I'm showing you is paid. And let's say I want to find out. So if Dave's my referral source, he's a good guy, he loves me, he'd recommend me to some of his friends or refer me to some of his friends, but I don't know who his friends are. And I would prefer not to ask that open-ended referral question. The question that everybody asks, like, hey, Mr. Client who loves me, don't you know some other people just like you who should love me? And your client goes, well, I'd like to help you, Wayne, but it's like, who do you want? Well, I like these kinds of people. Well, how about this person? And they give you 1 or 2 names just to get you out of their hair, right? In this case, you're going to do the work ahead of time. It's like grabbing Dave's Rolodex. So by putting his name in there and clicking it, I'm going to look for people who are in the state of Wisconsin. By the way, that's a new feature, brand new feature too, that we can now search the state on free or premium LinkedIn. Before we had to grab Milwaukee or Madison. We can now do the entire state. Thank you, LinkedIn. It used to be only you could do in Sales Navigator. So I'm going to do Dave's network, state of Wisconsin, and then I'm going to look for folks that are in the marketing space, because that's good for me, right? And people that are the leaders in the marketing space. So notice what I put in the title box. It's a Boolean search string. It's marketing or communications and VP or manager or director. You've got to capitalize the ors and the ands, and you've got to put those other terms in the parentheses or it just won't work right. Okay, so it's no different than, for those of you that are good at Boolean search logic, it's the same thing. Now there's a little trick in this box that you only can put 75 characters. And if you put more than that, it won't bring you back any results. And look, boom, up comes 28 people that he knows that are, look, they're all directors, they're managers, just like I asked for, and they're all in Wisconsin. So now I can go to that list, sit down with my friend Dave, who would love to help me, but really doesn't want to spend a lot of time figuring out who I want to talk to. And I can go to this list of 28 and bring them, a handful or maybe 10 people out of this list. I wouldn't bring your friend 28 or 30 names. That's too many. But a handful or maybe 10, and go through it and ask them some questions. Say, hey, I found these folks in your network, Dave. They look really interesting to me, but I want to make sure of a few things with them. Oh, yeah, what's that, Wayne? Well, let's see your list. And you give them the list. And you say, first off, you know all these folks? That's the first thing you have to confirm, is that people know the people that you found in their network. Because, we all know people add connections and really they don't know them, right? You got to say, do you know them? Because if there's anybody in there, Dave, you don't know, let's cross them out so that I don't look foolish when I reach out. Oh, Dave G said I'm supposed to talk to you, and you sound like an idiot, right? So you want to clear out the people he doesn't know. And then the next question is, with the remaining people on this list, who do you think they'd all be interested in talking to me? Because some people go, oh, no, he's never going to spend any money on LinkedIn. He really doesn't understand it all, you know. So your friend can help you understand those folks before you even reach out to them. So maybe you cross up a few names then. And then the last question you'll ask is this: hey, how should I reach out to him, do you think? Are they LinkedIn people? Are they email people? Are they phone call people? You know, if they're phone call or email people, guess what the next question is? Got their phone number for me? If they're LinkedIn people, just run with it on LinkedIn. But in all cases, the next step, when you reach out to them, and I don't care if it's an email, a phone call, or you mail something in the mail, or you use LinkedIn, always mention that you just got done talking to your friend and mine, Dave G, right? So you want to mention that right away, whether it's the voicemail or the LinkedIn connection request. And I'm telling you, that opening sentence in your connection request or your email, if you got that, or a voicemail, people are listening then, right? Because, oh, you mentioned a friend. Yeah, great. What'd Dave say? Well, Dave said you might be interested in some LinkedIn training because I helped his company a ton. Oh, yeah, he's probably right about that. Boom. Now you got a meeting. Now you have a conversation. Next thing you know, you got a client. So this is an unbelievable technique, my friends, that you can dig into somebody's network by simply putting their name in here and then using the rest of the search criteria that you want. So home run technique, that's tip number 3. Tip number 4 is you can also do general searches throughout the entire LinkedIn network for the kind of people you're trying to look for. So in this case, check this one out. So I'm looking, in this case, I switch gears just a little bit, and I want to see in Milwaukee, these 3 companies, anybody who has the title of engineering, and once again, I'm just going to look for people who look like they're in charge and the director or manager, right? And up comes this beautiful list, right? Now, if you call on folks like this at those 3 companies and you're trying to get in those 3 companies, this is techniques of home run. Now watch this next step and you'll love this. If you cut and paste the entire string of that title string that I had in the title box, back will come. Then it'll finally show up, and it's weird. I mean, LinkedIn is so weird sometimes, and they make it difficult, by the way, on purpose. They make it a little clunky with how you have to deal with free or premium LinkedIn because they want us all to move to Sales Navigator. That's really what it boils down to. But once you repaste that same string up here in the search box and hit the return, then this box will show up, allowing you to create a search alert for those titles at those companies. So what's going to happen is if I save that, once I get done working this list of 211 at those, those are all the engineering leaders at those 3 companies, then it'll give me an email every week. Yeah, it'll give me an email every week for the new people that meet that search criteria. It'll say, here's a new person at Rockwell, here's a new person at Johnson Controls, and you're finding out exactly when somebody is a new boss in the space that you want, in the department you want, automatically, really the first week to change their jobs, or really when they change their profile, right? But these search alerts, you can have 3 search alerts on LinkedIn for free. What a great feature. Now, that leads me to the conversation about, well, I'd like to have a few more search alerts. Well, guess what? Then you need to be on premium. And depending what premium level you're on, you can have more search alerts. But on free LinkedIn, we get 3 searches. And we can, like I said, we can make them compound from the standpoint that we can have up to 15 companies included in this one search alert. So it's, the data that exists on LinkedIn, and that's really what it is, Dave, is that people haven't figured out that LinkedIn is less of a social media site than how it gets characterized, and it's much more of a database. And I hope you've seen that this tool specifically is the data of LinkedIn is just unbelievable, and we've never had it in our careers before. Okay, 5th item, and the last secret I'm going to give to you today, because we want to answer your questions for sure coming up. The last feature that I want to bring up relates to your company page. And it's a new feature, and finally, and I'll probably give you 2 here, by the way. We got a little extra time. I'm gonna give you 2 from your company page. And these are both brand new features that showed up just recently. You can now invite your connections to follow your company page. 100 people each calendar month you can bring up on this list and click 100 names, and it will become an invitation for them to, it'll say Wayne Breitbarth wants you to follow. And this happens to be one of the pages I manage and work with is the River West Food Pantry. So 100 people you can invite sort of in bulk to follow your company page. Now, here's the other cool thing about that when you invite people, if they accept, they'll give you a credit back. So you can really invite more than 100 in a month as long as you're inviting the people that would probably be interested in following that page, because they'll say, sure, love to follow the page. And what do you want more followers for? So that these posts can end up more places, right? The organic reach on LinkedIn is difficult. You need a bigger follower base to make some stuff happen from your company page. And here's my bonus tip, and then we'll do questions and we'll chat, Dave, is the bonus tip is another brand new, and they got new next to this one, so they helped us with this one. We can finally, since the early days of LinkedIn, they took this away, the ability to see who our followers are. We can now see our followers. And that's important because if somebody's decided to follow your page, there's a good chance that something's up, that they're interested in talking to you because they pushed the follow button, didn't they? They may want to work for you. They may want to collaborate with you. They may want to buy your stuff. They may want to hire you. Who knows? I don't know. Bottom line is people don't follow pages just because they've got nothing better to do. People follow pages because there's an interest. And then now you get this beautiful list. You can find out so keep an eye on this from your own company page. And when all your new followers, if there's something that should happen, then you go to your, go to your own LinkedIn, send these folks a connection request note or a message if you're already connected, and try to say, hey, I see you follow my company page. Is something new, something going on, something I can help you with? We did not have this ability for about 7 or 8 years on LinkedIn, but they brought it back. And I'm very just thankful that LinkedIn is bringing some of these things back. So those are my 5 secrets, and I'm going to come back into the show because I want to be in the show. Instead of the screen, it's more fun being with you, man. You're the fun guy.
All right. This was awesome. I was sitting back. I've got, a couple people here, Charlie and Kristen helped me produce the show today. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to write this down. And I thought I was pretty capable at LinkedIn too. So, got some good questions here. So let's talk a little bit about Sales Navigator. Can, in a minute or two, can you tell us kind of the what, the why? We're not going to have time to get into the how, but at least the what and the why behind it.
Yeah, the reason you'd want to move to Sales Navigator, that's what people tend to ask me, right? Wayne, why would I?
Yep.
Is because you'll be able to do unlimited searches. And on free LinkedIn, you can't do unlimited searches like the ones I showed you. On premium, you can do unlimited searches.
Okay.
So that's like premium. But Sales Navigator, unlimited searches, the filters are much more robust. For example, there's a filter with company headcount where you can filter down a list with your sweet spot. Right. There's also a filter by geography with zip codes and circles around the zip code instead of greater Milwaukee or all of Wisconsin. Sure. There's also a way to build lists and save people as leads, both as a company, as a person. So it's got a little mini CRM going on with it too. Right. I'll tell you what, once you've tasted Sales Navigator, and even at the lowest level is $80 a month. Once you've tasted it, if you're good at LinkedIn, you don't ever want anybody to take it away from you.
So let me ask you this. I mean, you talked about it as a CRM. Will it scrape for email addresses or phone numbers if people have those on their profiles?
No, it will not do that. Now, here's the thing about the scraping process. There are some tools like Chrome tools that'll do that. Dan. But be very careful because LinkedIn is on a mission to not have these other tools grab their data.
Okay, gotcha.
And they've warned, they haven't warned us trainers specifically, but we keep our ears to the ground. Right. They will warn you and say, hey, we see you're using this tool and it's an unapproved tool of LinkedIn. You got 48 hours to take it off.
Okay. So Microsoft, who owns it now, right?
That's correct.
They've definitely they want to kind of understand everything that's
Can't
going on.
blame them. It's their data, right? They pay $29 billion.
Right. Well, I don't know that it's their data. It's owned by the individual, but that's
right.
We'll save that for a separate show philosophically, right? It's
Yeah,
as the saying go, and with social media companies, if you look around and you don't know what the product is, it's you, right?
Very true. You are so right, my friend.
Right. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about Navigator. Let's talk about LinkedIn Premium. What is it? Is it worth it?
So Premium is a price point between free and Sales Navigator.
Okay.
And that's about $50 a month, depending. There's actually 3 premium levels.
Okay.
The business premium one is the one that most people have.
Okay.
Is it worth it? You can do unlimited searches. It's good for that.
Okay.
But typically, I'll say this: if you're going to spend $50 a month, I can probably show you 2 or 3 things on Navigator once I understand your business to say, wouldn't you spend the other $360 a year for the Navigator? You would.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I suppose unless you're not going to get 360 back, right?
Yeah, if you're going from 0 to 8,
right.
to 1,000, that's a lot, maybe, right?
Yep, no brainer. We talked about. Well, actually, Kristen has another good question. Would you recommend any sort of automation software? So we talked about the fact that you can't use other software to come in and scrape. But what about, is there a way to export some of the information where we're not going to break the quote unquote rules and we could drop it into HubSpot or Marketo or, sales or something like that?
LinkedIn been super tough on that.
Okay.
And, hey, Kristen, be careful with the automation tools there are out there that would grab the data and not approved, right? But Dave, your question is, can we import or export and then import into a list? The only export we can do is we can export our entire database of first-degree connections. Here's the but. We've been able to do that forever. The but is they took away the email addresses to populate that spreadsheet 2 years ago because people were really being abusive. I mean,
so can you pay? So you can't pay and get that information.
No. So what you got to do is you got to download the spreadsheet and then put one of your assistants on going to each profile, opening up the contact info box. There's a column actually in the spreadsheet for the email address, but you'd have to cut and paste and then keep doing that as you're adding. It's a pain.
Right.
But you know what was happening? People were just not asking for permission.
Right. Okay, cool. We've got one of my students, Elizabeth, from my Intro to Entrepreneurship class. Shout out here, Elizabeth. And her question is, Wayne, is it appropriate to message someone about potential opportunities? I'm going to presume that's job opportunities. If you don't have at least one mutual connection. So let's say it's second degree or more. Appropriate, inappropriate?
So I love it if it's second degree and you do your homework and find out if the person in between would allow you to use their name in the note. That's 100%.
Right.
But if that person doesn't really know the person or they're third degree, is it appropriate? Sure. You got to look at a lot of the stuff like, if I write a nice note to the person and they don't want to accept the note, I tried.
Right.
But if you can make that note interesting enough and look at their profile and go, how can I give them something of value with hiring me if that's what you're trying to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
What can I see on their profile or their website that I should include in my short note that goes, this dude's going to connect with me so we can have a longer. So if you don't do your homework, you don't deserve the conversation.
Right.
Doesn't mean you'll always earn the conversation from your note, but you got to look at some of these things is, what's the downside? It takes me a few minutes. I'm still treated as a professional.
Okay, so I'm going to go the opposite of everything we've done today. And I'm going to ask you, what are the big mistakes? What are the don'ts? The things when you consult with someone and you say, oh my, what are you doing? What are the big no's?
So I think the biggest no is that when somebody says, this is what I'm trying to accomplish, these are the kind of people I'm trying to meet. Because that's the starting point of your LinkedIn strategy. What are you trying to accomplish and who do you want to meet more of? They tell me that. And then I'll look at the profile and says, your profile doesn't say anything like that. It looks like the profile from the last time you were looking for a job. And they said, that's the case. That's the biggest mistake. The biggest mistake is not making sure your profile
there you are. Okay.
is clear. There's clarity.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. You seized up for a second. I think we got the point. All right, we've got a question from Alex. Can you speak about sponsored posts and their effectiveness?
So I can only speak to sponsored posts when I've spent a little bit of money on LinkedIn. It's super duper expensive.
Okay.
So, but I know lots of people that do it. I shouldn't say lots. I've got bigger companies that I know have done sponsored posts and they say they work. It boils down to this, Dave. Is the gross profit of a lifetime customer a fairly big number for you? Because at LinkedIn, it's like $5 a click.
Right.
Right. So if you're going to build a landing page, you better build a landing page if you're going to pay $5 a click, right? You want that contact information, and that piece of content maybe you give because of your landing page as a free ebook or something, and that leads to the right number of conversations, and what you sell is worth several $100,000 every time you can land one out of 100. Well, the math could work, right?
Right. Yeah, it all comes down to ROI, right? I mean,
yeah, the targeting is unbelievable.
Right. If you're selling,
you can even filter. Yeah, you can even filter. Catch this: sponsored updates can filter by gender and age, which is not even a filterable field. And they use AI to sort of guess at gender and age. But the point is that the tightness of the filters is like nowhere else. And you can also bring in lists like you can on Facebook from people from your web that have visited your website. You can upload those lists and do a sponsored update with people who've already visited your website, let's say.
Right. Okay. So, so one final question. I shouldn't say this is just selfish because I think some of our audience might want to do this too, is they're building communities, which is, obviously we've got sales funnels, but one of the trend is building communities. So we've got this Facebook group like Restart Small Biz Community. And obviously you can, do this within LinkedIn as well. One of the things that I found, and maybe this is a statement a little bit more than a question, but I started a group simultaneously in LinkedIn and Facebook. I invited the same people to both. The number of, I think I had 5 people join the LinkedIn group, and I had about 70 join the Facebook group. Okay. Now, we could dive into some of the variables, but how effective are groups? I mean, have you seen some companies use them really well? Do people just tend not to engage on LI, or what's going on with groups?
So LinkedIn groups are dead.
Oh, that answers that question. Okay.
Back in the early days, you read the early versions of my book,
right?
One of the top 3-4 features for sure.
Okay. All right.
They're dead now. Facebook does a much better job with groups. You've learned that through your testing.
Yes, I have.
And LinkedIn, the rumor was 3 years ago they were going to go away, and they did an update. And we got new groups. And
yeah,
still dead.
All right, so let me hit you with another quick one, sort of related. If you're trying to do, and you and I've talked about this, because it's created pain for both of us, talk about the process of being able to broadcast live to LinkedIn.
So LinkedIn Live exists maybe for a year or so now. You have to apply. Mm-hmm. The vetting process is LinkedIn unusual, like everything on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. It sounds like most people, I've applied 3-4 times, haven't heard back. People say you just got to keep applying. So you just go to the help center, put in LinkedIn Live. There's a form you fill out. It's a short form, not very big. Right. But I don't think they keep a queue.
Right.
The nice thing about LinkedIn Live is it integrates now with LinkedIn Events. And LinkedIn Events by itself was not very good, but with LinkedIn Live, it can work really well together. So I think it's going places.
Okay. So LinkedIn folks, okay, if you're listening to us, Wayne and Dave, we want to be on LinkedIn Live. Okay, we're going to turn up the pressure on you here because this is going to have thousands of views probably in the next few weeks. And we've got a couple people here that are big-time influencers. So you need to let Wayne and I on. All right, Wayne, we're going to wrap up here. Tell us about your business, the services you provide. Tell us about the special promotion. And for the next 24 hours, I believe. And the stage is yours. Go ahead.
Yeah, you bet. So if you go to my website, powerformula.net, you can see how you could sign up. Very big box. It says for sign up for an individual consultation. That's only $197 where I work with you. I mark up your profile or your company page, and we spend 1 hour in a Zoom conference. We record that, And the recording is the bonus, the recording, and I will mail you an autographed copy of my book. So I throw those two things in. As long as you do it by midnight tomorrow.
Okay.
I want the car salesman. But that's the special on the Dave show.
Okay.
So
all right. So midnight tomorrow, which is Wednesday, Central Standard Time.
There you go. I think I cut him a little slack on the time.
You come in at, when we're all about deadlines here, you come in at 12:01, you're paying full price. So you're saving $75. By the way, you have your first customer because I will be the first person in line. I'm going to do that. Wayne, thank you so much for your time today. Woo, lot of meat here today. Really powerful stuff. I'm guessing that we might even have to have you back again. Wayne Breitbarth, international expert on LinkedIn. And he does have a promotion that he's running only for viewers, only for the next 24 hours. So you can go out to his website, say you watch the show here, and let your LinkedIn become a sales magnet.